I gotta ask you, Coach, why I got you on here. We got any updates?
On what?
We got any updates, Coach? Ain't no on what. You know what the fans want me to ask you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, right now, something big will come down the paint. I can tell y'all that. Something
So,
big will come down the paint.
so it's quiet for a reason, like I said.
It's quiet for a
Before
reason.
the storm.
They trying to seal the deal.
Something big is coming down the pike, says Calvin Ford for Tank's next fight. What big could be coming down that pike? The anticipated matchup is Pitbull, but that's not big. That's not something that the fans would say, oh, that's a surprise. I mean, he made it seem like it would be a surprise. Like people would be kind of shocked by who his next opponent will be. And there's a lot of people that, I see in the social media, so really on YouTube, that think that the whole camp, including Tank, are avoiding big fights. That they don't want the big fight. They're scared of the big fight. They don't want to take risks. They're trying to protect this O. So when this fight comes out, it's supposed to shock those fans. That's the kind of energy that I'm getting coming from Calvin Ford. The same kind of energy that I'm getting coming from Tank when he put a post up on Instagram, basically saying, y'all have y'all fun. Basically when he comes back, he's about to take over again. He's about to let the world know he's the face of boxing again, is what I got from his message. So what matchup could that be? We know that it's not Devin Haney. He's fighting Prograis. We know that it's not Shakur. He's fighting Dos Santos or De Los Santos or Edwin. We know it's not Loma. He's on a hiatus. We know it's not Thurman because it's not. We know it's not Crawford because it's not. So who else could it possibly be besides these two guys that don't have fights, which is Tank Davis and Teofimo Lopez, who Teofimo just pulled out of a fight to be scheduled to fight in the beginning of next year, which is the same time that Tank said he's looking to have another fight, as opposed to fighting in December or late this year, like he said. He's going to go ahead and let this year pass, I guess, because of his legal issues and the negotiations. This negotiation is taking some time because I think it might be a cross-network negotiation. Now, we know if it's a cross-network negotiation, it can be another black fighter. We know that. We've established that just based off history in the pay-per-view streaming era. Who else can it be besides Teofimo Lopez? Watching Teofimo's fights, I can already tell Teofimo has a lot of flaws that I don't know if he's gonna learn from, or I'll be shocked to see him cover up those flaws in that fight. That's gonna show me that this is about to be a really good fight. I mean, it's gonna be a good fight anyway, but as far as Teo actually having a chance to win, because as of what I see right now, I don't give Teo a chance to win. Teofimo Lopez falls in love with his instincts. The thing about Tank Davis and Teofimo that makes this fight so intriguing is that they have the same explosive ability. The difference between the two is that one is actually coached by someone who can't do what his son can do and really thinks highly of his son to the point where his teaching is not fundamental enough. The same thing with Ryan. See, when Ryan was getting coached by whoever he was getting coached by, because of his status, because of his accolades, Ryan having a bunch of amateur fights, Ryan being on social media and just having that power, having his knockouts and things like that, just having success, you had to hone him back to the fundamentals. It takes an ass whipping to do that. But unfortunately for Teo, he got an ass whooping, but there was an excuse for the ass whooping. So in his mind, he really didn't get an ass whooping. So with Ryan, ain't no excuse. You got your ass whooped clean, and you know that, okay, that you have a lot of defensive flaws, and he's gonna fix that. The same thing with Tio. Tio keeps his hands low. If you're watching that Lomachenko fight, he was getting popped after the 6th round, the 7th round, whenever Loma decided to fight. He was getting hit effortlessly, clean and effortlessly. Every time Loma wanted to go and hit him, his face was right there, hands was down. And if you're explosive, you're not going to be able to catch that punch in time. And Tio relies on his instincts to be able to move his head in time, catch punches in time, while his hands is low. Another problem with Tio is that, well, I watched to see if he uses his jab, and I noticed that when his last few fights have been southpaws, aside for Kambosos, and when he fights southpaws, he doesn't use his jab. He uses it as a flicking jab. He will tap the glove with it, but he's not really trying to hurt you or do any damage or even really connect with that jab like that. He's really using it as a decoy to come behind with his backhand, and that's something that I don't know if it's going to hurt him, because it is known in boxing that when you are fighting an opposite stance, if you are fighting the same stance, fighting an open stance, that you use the backhand, as the jab. Like that punch is actually better than the jab in the open stance. But there's a lot of times where you have to use that jab because this is still a game. Boxing is not a game, but it's a game. It's a sport, and there's points. So when you're in a close fight, that dead air when you're looking for your open shot, you can be filling it up with jabs. And that kind of stuff can win you a fight. You ask Floyd Mayweather, he knows how to make sure that I'm the one getting the better of these exchanges, and in between exchanges, I'm catching you with shit to let the judges know I'm controlling this fight. And not being able to use that jab, not being able to refer back to your fundamentals is something that I think is going to lose Tio the fight. Tio is a very creative boxer. He's a very gifted and talented boxer. Great feet, great counter punching, explosiveness, has the power. But when it's time to stick to the fundamentals, can you be humble enough to do it? Can you be humble enough knowing all the gifts and the talents that you got? Can you bring it, hone it down, and use the fundamentals? That's why Michael Jordan is the greatest ever. Because Michael Jordan, with all his athleticism, quickness, first step was crazy, athleticism, jumping out the roof, big hands, be able to pound the ball and just manipulate the ball, all the things that he had, he still used the fundamentals to the T. You don't see Michael Jordan doing a whole bunch of dribbling. It was just straight to the point moves that got to the destination. And it's the same thing in boxing. When you need it the most, when you're talented and you have all the talent in the world, but you hone it and box it, not box it, but you package it with your fundamentals like a Floyd Mayweather, you become virtually unbeatable. So you have a guy like Tank who has power, who has a gift, which is explosiveness and power. Same thing Tio has. But you watch Tank, when he needs to, he'll put his high guard up. When his defense needs to be tip top, you see him dodging punches, blocking punches, getting out the way, using his feet against the Pitbull fight, especially when he had one hand. When it's time to use the jab, he can use it. He had one hand against Pitbull, and that was his off hand. His brick hand was hurt, and he jabbed that man to death in the final round, and that was the decisive round of the fight. So, and that's another aspect that he has over Tio that I'm gonna get to. But that ability to use the jab to score points, Tank uses it when he needs to. When you see that he has to use his jab, when he's dealing with somebody who can punch, when he's dealing with a formidable opponent, he respects his opponent by using his jab. He knows that he has to get down to the fundamentals, and then once I get that down, get a rhythm, get the opening, get the speed, get the timing, then I can open up into other things. But I'm going to start the fight off fundamentally. And that's where Tio, in my opinion, lacks is that I'm sure he knows it, but he doesn't employ the fundamentals, that's needed for a fight of this, a fight this dangerous. Like, Tank may have fought guys who people would say are not skilled or not good enough, but they're very dangerous opponents because of that power. His last few opponents all have power. All can catch you and put you to sleep. So when you're dealing with those kind of guys, you got to stick to your fundamentals. And Tio drops his hands. Tio's defense is not great, and he doesn't use his jab. Especially when he's fighting a southpaw, he doesn't really use his jab to score points. And the last thing that gives Tank the advantage over Tio, in my opinion, is the mentality. Tio, in my opinion, I'm not saying he's mentally weak, but he's not mentally strong enough. Like, he has the support of his dad. He has the support of his gifts. Sometimes when you're gifted, that's also your support, when you just know that you're good at something. To keep pushing, to keep boxing. But you see, he can easily be taken off. He can easily be taken off center. The man was talking retirement. The man was getting having a mental breakdown because his dad didn't approve of his wife. Then he I think they're divorced now, him and his wife, and he's like not even 25, 26. He's just, his decision making is off. Like, for you to pick a girl, your dad is telling you she's no good. Then you end up getting divorced soon after. That means your dad was right. That means your decision making is off. You know what I'm saying? You're stubborn, you're hard-headed. And then for you to go into that Kambosos fight saying you're going to knock him out in one round and then trying to go for the knockout in that one round and then actually getting dropped and eventually lose that fight. For you to fight Nakatani, have difficulty with it, and have the critics say, oh, he had problems with a tall fighter, he's not who we think he is, and have that mentally get to you and bother you, lets me know that this guy is not mentally the strongest guy. And when you're fighting against a guy like Tank, who showed you his mentality, he showed you his grit, you know where he comes from, you see it in his fights. When he's down and he has to turn it around, he's going to step it up, he's going to bite down. When he was down in Barrios' fight, he bit down, stepped it up, changed the momentum of the fight. When his hand was hurt, he couldn't use it. He was trying to go for the knockout. I believe it was the 10th round. It was the 10th round when he stopped moving around. He was going to walk Pitbull down. He was taking some shots, but then you seen that it was all part of the plan. It was all part of the plan to, do basically the same shit he did to Leo Santa Cruz. But then he hurt his hand in the process. And because of that, you see the frustration in the 10th round when he's trying to throw that hand, he can't. He's like, damn, and he has like a little sigh. His body language was really showing. And then his corner told him, I forget the guy's name, was telling him that, man, stop all that soft shit. We'll get that shit fixed tomorrow. So you can hurt tomorrow. And he goes in that 12th round, no left hand, which is his brick hand, only his front hand, and he jabs Pitbull to death. In my opinion, the fight was tied. The fight was basically, it was a close fight. It was a decisive round. Whoever won that round, no, I'm getting it wrong. If Pitbull would have won that 12th round, the way I had it scored, it would have been a draw. Tank needed that round to pull out the victory, and he got that round using his jab, his check hook, and his defense. And that's just the mentality that I'm talking about. You have all these allegations with you abusing your girl, and they're going in on you, talking shit about you. They're saying that you're a woman beater. They're calling you this, they're calling you that. You get into an accident, a hit and run. ESPN never even talks about Tank unless they're saying something negative. And he blocks it all out, goes into the fight, and has a masterful performance. So when he gets into the ring, his problems don't carry. With Tio, you can break him mentally. You can break him mentally. I give T.O. his props though for, you know, in that Loma fight, he was getting clean in the second half of the fight. Loma was winning every round effortlessly, almost like he did it on purpose. Like, bro, you could have been doing that from the jump, and this would have been a blowout. But it came down to the 12th round. T.O. got tired of getting his ass whooped, and he bit down and he fought that 12th round and closed the show. So I give him credit for that. But there's so many other things, so many other examples of his mental fragility that I think is going to show itself when you get into a fight of that kind of danger. Two dogs in the ring that are both explosive, but one I think is more cerebral than the other. T.O. may talk better than Tank. He may articulate himself better than Tank. But when it comes down to fighting, when it comes down to war, when it comes down to having animal instinct, you have someone, when you get in that ring, you're dealing with someone that is actually at home. They know where everything is at. And not only that, they have the calibration in them to know when to be humble, meaning know when to stick to my fundamentals, not rely on my power and my gifts. Know when to unleash it. Know when you're hurt. Know when you're weakening. Know when I got you. They can smell it, and they can smell it in you, the fear in you. You watch him in the ring. You see all of that. Every movement that he makes is basically like, if you watch how animals fight and how animals attack, they don't waste movements. Any movement that they do when they're trying to kill their prey is based towards trying to kill their prey. There's no nervous energy where they're moving a lot for no reason. Like, everything is precise. When you watch him fight, that's how he fights. He doesn't do anything in there that is outside of trying to attack his opponent when he has a formidable opponent. I'm not talking about when he's facing those guys he can knock out and he kind of showboats a bit, or, you know, whatever the case. But if he's fighting a formidable opponent, every movement in there is geared towards that fight. He has an animal instinct, and mentally he's strong. And that, in my opinion, is what's going to win him that fight against T.O. If that is the fight. If that is the fight. But that's my odd take. The T.O. fight, in my opinion, is the only thing that it could be. And if it is to be, it would be Tank over T.O. because of the fundamentals and because of the mental strength. Let me know what you think in the comments.